Glad to have you with us. And Jim is the executive pastor of Sherwood Baptist Church and also the executive producer of Sherwood Pictures. And, of course, the next movie coming out is Courageous, and that's going to be in theaters coming up on September 30th. You've had a lot of success there at Sherwood Baptist Church in movies. First there was Flywheel, then Facing the Giants, now Courageous. Why did you decide to do a movie about sheriff's officers, and why did you decide to use this particular movie plot?
Well, the first thing we do each time we come to one of these films is Alex and Stephen Kendrick, Michael Catt, our senior pastor, and myself will go away for a season of prayer, and we did that almost 2 years ago. And the first time we went, we were just really praying, should we even make another movie? You know, we were thanking the Lord for all the previous movies and people who had been involved, but, you know, just because God blessed something one time doesn't mean it's automatic. So we began to pray if we should do another movie. At the end of those 4 days, we believed the answer was yes, and we agreed as a team to pray for the next 6 months about the topic. And when we came back 6 months later, the topic that was on all our hearts was fatherhood. And so at that point, we began to pray about a script and how would we represent a positive messages about fathers. And that's where we came to this police officer theme. We were looking for guys who were in a group and fellowship together, and the story wound up being 4 police officers. They run up on a 5th dad. All of the men meet in a group, and through a tragic event in the story, it causes them to reflect about what does it mean to be a father. And you see how these men embrace that. Some live it out and some fall away, and there's a lot of excitement in the movie. And I think at the end, both men and women will be challenged by the message of this movie.
I have been surprised at the number of women that have come to us, especially after the preview, and said this is a strong message. And the takeaway that they got was just what happens when a man abdicates or backs away from his role as spiritual leader in the household. And I want to commend you because you did an excellent job of weaving the storyline and demonstrating what happens when a man steps away from that role and what happens when he picks it up and embraces it.
Well, and one of the things that's the key to the movie, too, is each one of these men have a strong spouse. And so the godly women represented in this movie, I think, will be challenging to women as well.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. Now, Flywheel was your first movie. It only cost $20,000 to make. A strong message about faith, about a car dealership and a car dealer and a man who, you know, wasn't doing everything quite right and then really embraced the promises of God and just saw God do amazing things in his life. And you've done amazing things with Flywheel. 350,000 DVDs have been sold. How did you guys decide, hey, let's make a movie? Did you wake up, meet in church one day and say, hey, you know, let's make a movie?
Well, one of the things that was a catalyst for that was there was a survey that came out back during that time period that said that movies at that point were more influential than the church. And that disturbed us. And Alex had grew up making home videos in his backyard and had a desire to one day be able to make Christian films. And he communicated to our pastor that desire and said, you know, I'd love to do that one day, but I guess I'll have to do it somewhere else because churches just don't make movies. And our senior pastor said, well, why not? And he's a real out-of-the-box thinker, and that started a process towards that first script. And after that, when you start getting thousands of emails of people communicating life change and salvation stories, it's really fuel to keep you going.
And the people that are watching online on TJN TV can see Jim's picture. Now, Jim, I have to admit, I really liked your performance in Facing the Giants. You were Bobby Lee Duke, and you were the coach of the Giants, the opposing team in the state championship.
Yes, and they sort of pick along the line in the movies. We're all volunteers, and so they pick people who have similar stories. Some of the doctors in the movie are actually doctors in our church, and the like. And so in my past, I was a professional wrestler for a while and was in it for 6 years, and so it was a little bit of drill instructor and a little bit of a professional wrestler in that character.
You did a great job in that character. I want to compliment you on that. It came across like you were the coach and you were out to kill.
Thank you, I guess.
Okay, in a good way, and the message came across very strong. Courageous. I have had people that saw the preview come up to us and tell us that, Fireproof was a great movie. Kirk Cameron did a great job. Amazing storyline. It's done amazing things for marriages. But I've had people come to me and say, this is your best movie yet.
Well, we're hearing a lot of that too, and first step would be that not meaning any disrespect to them and the comment, but it's not our movie; it's God's movie, and so
Amen.
So we're when we hear that, we're just grateful that the Lord once again has helped us be able to do something better than before. But at the end result, it's all for His glory.
We're just amazed at how God works. We were here at our church at the Way here at Ephesian Vision Ministries in Bend, and we were praying about getting involved in movies. And the next day, David Algrim of Provident Films calls us and says, "Hey, would you help us get the word out on this preview in Bend, Oregon on Courageous?" And just the previous day, we'd asked God to show us how to get involved in promoting movies. And isn't it just amazing how God works?
Absolutely. That's been one of the exciting things going around the country and to the different screenings and meeting pockets of believers all over this country and hearing stories like that, and just how the Lord's using different groups and the way they're using the movies. And I just heard from a man in South Carolina in a small community, and he wanted to impact the men in that community, and he went and talked to 6 different churches, and they sponsored the theater to bring the theater to their small little community in South Carolina. And hearing from other groups where they're challenging the men to bring buy 3 tickets and bring an older and a younger man to impact 3 generations of the community. And so there's a lot of excitement. People using the opportunity to minister to the police department in their town, who oftentimes don't get the greatest of praise and or accolades from people, but churches in a lot of communities are bringing their policemen and their spouses to the theater.
Did you ever think that when you started Flywheel that the pictures, Sherwood Pictures, would evolve into where you are today?
Absolutely not. I can imagine like the little boy with the 5 loaves and 2 fish who stood back after he saw what Jesus did with it and thought, that's not my lunch. Just to see the amazing things God's done with this ministry, we're still in awe of that, and I hope we always will be.
Well, great job. We just want to commend you guys. God's really put it on our heart to use media and motion pictures and out-of-the-box thinking to take. Jesus said, "Go into all the world, make disciples of all nations." So we've got to get out of the pews and engage people in the street to make that happen. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that's the beauty of this ministry is providing something where a lot of people may not come directly to the church, but they'll walk into a theater to see a movie. And so that's where a lot of churches are using that as a first step towards helping people transition into the church. And so that's a real blessing.
Now, for folks that are watching that didn't see the preview, we don't want to spoil it, but what would you tell them to encourage them to go to the movie?
I would tell them that it's a very challenging story that is going to inspire and encourage. That you're going to, if you've laughed in a previous Sherwood movie, the scenes in this movie that provide humor are some of the best that we've done yet. And so you're going to have a good belly laugh. You're going to see a lot of action and excitement, and you're going to walk out encouraged and inspired.
Next question. What's ahead for Sherwood Pictures?
In about 6 months, another trip to the cabin to pray, and we'll be seeking the Lord and wisdom on what that next thing is. And so, we just ask for people who follow the ministry to be praying in that season for wisdom for us. And there's no plan yet. We're waiting on the Lord.
Well, amen. And anything you guys do, we really want to promote here, because God's put it also on our heart. We can't make movies, but we can be a loudspeaker and go out there and in some small way help get the word out. And that's what God's put on our heart, is we have to use, we have to get out into the marketplace. We have to get out into the communities, and we have to use the media, motion pictures, poetry, whatever. We have got to reach the world.
That's right. And we thank you for your support in helping get the message out.
Jim McBride, the senior pastor. Are you still the senior pastor at Sherwood Baptist Church?
I'm the executive pastor. Michael Catt is the senior pastor.
So you're the executive pastor. And are you still the executive producer at Sherwood Pictures?
I am.
Okay. You guys have done an awesome job. Keep up the great work. God bless you, and we'll keep you in our prayers.
God bless you, too. Thank you.
Okay. You have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There you have it. A little bit of the insight from Jim McBride of Sherwood Pictures. Courageous the movie. It is coming out in theaters across the nation on the 30th of this month. Actually, in Madras, Oregon, on 29th, they're going to have a preview. You might want to talk to the movie theater there in Madras, Oregon, about a way you can see it a day early. Do ask that you support the picture, pray for it. If there's, especially police officers, people, first responders, they can really identify with what's going on in this movie. So buy a ticket for a police officer, buy a ticket for a sheriff's officer, firefighter, wildland firefighter. If you know someone who is not the spiritual leader in their household that they should be, pray about buying a ticket for them and say, hey, you know, you're having a bad day. I just thought you might want to go see this movie. You know, might be kind of fun. Maybe it is. There are some very, very funny parts in the movie. It's Courageous the movie. Honor begins at home. We are going to be, TJN is going to be in Myrtle Point, Oregon this weekend, and we're going to see if we can talk to some folks over there about what their takeaway is from Courageous, and just ask that you pray for the movie. I'm Dave Adams, TJN, the Jesus Network. It is time to change the planet. You have a great, great day, and thanks for being with us.